Nintendo hates emulation, and for that, we hate them right back. And if Nintendo was judge, jury, and executioner, those sends people who violate their IP to get striked in the balls with a spike bat. This is defense mode switching to attack mode, and Nintendo's on a warpath. And when they finish, there's gonna be a bloodbath of gamers dying in the USA. I don't know. They're on a warpath, aren't they? Like, they shut down. The thing is, like, when they shut down the Switch emulator, that I understand. Like, some people are bitching, like Mudohara was bitching on his thing, like, oh, the Nintendo Switch is on its way out. It's like, it don't fucking matter. First of all, Nintendo Switch 2, the sequel Switch console, hasn't been announced yet. Hasn't even been announced yet. And when it does get announced, it's gonna be at least 6 months, if that, maybe longer. So when it comes out, at the current moment, it's still being sold. They're still having, well, I guess they still have games for it. But still, look, if this is your current console, and people are emulating it, of course you're gonna wanna, tackle that. Even though I believe that people that emulate, the emulators of the world, I believe that all of us are a bunch of what Tom Segura will call the poors. A bunch of broke fucks. Now, when Nintendo targets people that targets emulations or whatever for consoles that they don't sell no more, games they don't sell no more, that's what I have a problem with. Because even if you're reselling an old game, that's still not gonna hurt the sales. Because if you're reselling an old popular game, like Mario 64, any kind of old popular game, people like having the official version of those games. Or they just like supporting those kind of games. Like, I wanted to support Super Mario RPG, mostly to show that, like, hey, when you come up with games that we fans want, that we want, like, like we want actually to come out, we want remade and stuff, I'll buy the official version and support it, even if I already played it emulated. Like the hardcore gamers I'm talking about. Casual gamers who don't know the game or want to try and like, they see the game and they say, oh, it's an old game of zone, let me try it or whatever. You gotta that's your job to advertise it. But like, there's a combination of the hardcore gamers that want to support a game that they love, that you're remaking or whatever, or re-releasing. Like, as long as you haven't released it 1,000 times over, then we'll support it. And then if you promote it good enough, the casual gamers will like it too. But like the emulators, like, this is the same thing with the music industry. When the music industry kept tackling, like, people getting music for free or whatever, like, they're taking away our sales. It's like, the poor fucks who are buying your music illegally, they were never gonna buy your music legally anyway. Before the whole digital age and Napster and LimeWire and all that stuff, we used to get our CDs another poor man's way. There's always that one person in your block that burns CDs and will fucking sell it to you for $5 or sell it for you real cheap. He'd buy the official CD himself, then he'd burn multiple copies of it and sell it on in the street, sell it at school for cheap and make his money back tenfold. If you bought a CD for $10, $15, he burns it and sells it for what, $2 or $3, maybe $5, depending, and sells it to 5, 10 people. He already made a profit. We always had those kind of people. My brother, who grew up before the digital age, had that kind of shit. And then when digital age came, it just made it a lot easier. But I was never gonna buy a CD. I grew up in the digital age where I download music illegally. So obviously, I wasn't gonna buy music. But even if it wasn't, I still wouldn't buy music. I don't like music like that to spend money on it. Unless it's a music artist that I really love. But for me personally, the only music I ever loved was old school hip hop and the old school rappers. So if anything, I'd buy those old albums. But I was never a fan of the current rap, even back in the 2000s when I was a kid. I still wasn't a fan of the rap that was releasing then, and I haven't been a fan of any rap or any music that's been released since. Every now and again, there's a song you like and stuff, but like, I don't like any of that music enough to spend money on it, like hard-earned money. Like, instead of buying a video game or buying a movie, I'm gonna buy music. Out of all the three, I would never buy music. I'd buy movies, but even that I didn't really like. Like, by the time I started making money on my own, I wanted to buy movies and stuff, but I didn't really want to, like, I liked the whole Netflix thing. When Netflix came out and started streaming everything, that's what I fell in love with. Like, that's a lot easier. But like, buying movies and stuff is like, where do you start? First, you're gonna start with the old movies you grew up on that you liked, and then maybe you see a movie here and there. But now I'm at a point where, just like everyone else, where I don't really watch movies anymore like that, so I don't really give a shit. And I'm too spoiled with digital shit. But out of all the three, the one thing I do spend money on no problem is video games. With emulators, most of those games you either can't buy, or if they were to re-release them, I'd probably buy them, but like, you're not re-releasing them. There's too many games out there. And it's another way emulation is of preserving a lot of games that will like pretty much die. Because Nintendo and Sony, all these companies, they don't really care about preserving old games. They can care less. They can really care less about preserving old games. Emulators both preserve and make it free for us, the broke fucks, the poorest. We weren't, you know, the fact is, screw us never gonna buy it anyway theory like we do with the music. With these games, is like Nintendo, you were never gonna re-release these games or these consoles anyway. Like shutting down the Wii U emulators or anything that's below the Switch is stupid. You've already made the money that you're gonna make on the SNES, the NES, all those consoles, all those past consoles that you don't release no more and games that you don't release no more. You already made your money on them. You're not gonna make a penny more. And if you do re-release them, like however you do individually or in a pack or whatever, if you re-release them, they can still make you a good profit. Especially if you're not really putting any money into it. Like if you re-release like Mario, Super Mario 64 and all that stuff like you recently did. If you re-release Mario 64 like you originally did with Mario Sunshine and Galaxy and all that stuff, that's perfectly fine. We all would spend money on that, whatever, but you're not really putting any money into it. It's just like a remaster. Like how much money are you putting for a remaster? Unless it's like a complete remake. But when Nintendo does remakes, they don't really remake it like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like that kind of remake. When they remake games, they remake it like Mario RPG. Or they remake it like the Zelda games, the Echoes game that just came out, and the one before that, Link to the Past, that was remade. They like, or like Diamond and Pearl. Like that's how they remake games. They remake old games and just slightly make the like they don't make it up to like up to date best graphics in the world all the way up using all of the Switch's power. They don't. They either cell shaded like they did with Xenoblade Chronicles 1, or they just make like a chibi, a non-sprite version of it where they don't. But there's not that much money they're putting on it. And I freaking looked it up. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl freaking like made like 15 million off of just making a third-party game, make it unsprited a freaking old game, and just made it chibi like 3D. And you think it cost them that much money? That's like profit over profit. But these greedy corporations, all they care about is like, look, if we're not gonna make money off it, you're not gonna fucking enjoy it. So it's either we make money off it or fuck you. Fuck game preservation, fuck having fun, fuck enjoying old games or old IPs. Is either we make money off it or nobody gets to enjoy it. That's their mindset. That's their mindset of this stuff. We either make a profit of it or no one gets to enjoy it at all. That's why they keep doing this shit. Now, like I said, taking away the Switch emulator, I understand. The Switch is still out. I don't give a shit that the Switch 2 is because the Switch is on its deathbed and it's underpowered and the Switch 2 is on the horizon. Nintendo already proved thousands of times over that being the most powerful console, having a powerful console doesn't mean shit. The Steam Deck has barely sold 5 million and Nintendo Switch sold 120, like the best-selling console now. Or the best-selling, you know, main or home console. But it's a hybrid console, not the best-selling card. They don't outsell the DS, but outsold everything else besides the DS. So having the most powerful console don't mean shit. They can have the Switch out. They can have the Switch out for another year or two. As long as the games are good and they come out, people still buy it. People don't give a shit. But it's about that time the Switch 2 comes out anyway. The Switch was already kind of on the par when it came out. Now it's definitely on the par. People don't care. They like good games. They don't care about graphics. Hardcore gamers care about graphics. I care about graphics. You, the one watching or listening to this video, you care about graphics. But we're the hardcores. We're not the casual, don't give a shit. And be honest with you, I don't really give a shit either. I used to be a graphics person too, but if I was really a graphics person, I just PC game. So I don't care about graphics that much. If I want good graphics or whatever, I play my PS5. If I want fun games, I play the Switch. There's, you know, I can play one or the other. And so the Switch, and just like the fact that it's underpowered doesn't matter. The fact is the Switch has been out long enough. They're gonna make the Switch 2, but it's not out yet. So the Switch is still there. The Switch 2 isn't out yet, so they're trying to protect that. I understand. That makes sense. But with the other ones, the mentality of, look, is either we sell it or no one could enjoy it because we're not making money off it, is like, Nintendo are some of the most soulless, heartless people. When it comes to their IPs, protecting their IPs, not when it comes to making games. The games have soul and heart. When it comes to protecting their IPs, they're the most soulless, annoying, bitch-ass company out there. Sony doesn't do this. Xbox doesn't do this. You know, you don't see Steam giving. I know Steam doesn't really make games and stuff. They just, you know, the store and shit. But like, Nintendo's the only one who does this. They care too much about that shit. With their we make money off it and no one gets to enjoy it fucking mentality. And they try to target the Wii U and all. Like, what's next? The Dolphin emulator? They're gonna go after the Game Boy emulators as well? It's like, stop being such a bitch, right? There's a lot of poor people out there. Times is rough right now. Not everyone can game. Not everybody wants to waste some money to game. There's plenty of friends I know that used to game that don't game no more strictly because it's too expensive. You have to really love gaming to do this shit. The casuals, they buy the consoles, they buy a handful of games, and that's it. Us hardcores, we're the ones that buy all these consoles and buy all these games. I just invested in a Steam Deck that's gonna be in my house tomorrow. All because I want to emulate games and I want to play my last story. Since again, see, that's a good example. They don't want to re-release the last story. They don't want to make a sequel. They don't want to give a fuck about this game that I love so much as my favorite RPG. Okay, I'm gonna get a Steam Deck and I'm gonna emulate it and play it myself since Nintendo doesn't want to do it. But Nintendo, the way they think, they're like, no, we don't have an incentive to want to release the last story. But if you dare emulate them, we'll take your channel down. We'll fucking copy strike right you. Didn't a YouTuber just get copyright strike for freaking showing gameplay of an emulation? Like, are you fucking serious? Like, oh, you're promoting what? If you're not freaking making money off the console's still not out. If you're not gonna re-release the console, re-release the games, leave it alone. Now, I can understand you wanted to take down emulation of a game that you want to re-release. I could understand that, but it's still gay and completely unnecessary. The poor fucks that want to emulate games like us or whatever, if you go ahead and take the emulation down and then re-release it, we're not gonna buy your game. The casual emulation is a hardcore gamer's thing, believe it or not. A lot of people emulate games or whatever, but trust me, if someone has the money to afford the game and they're casual or whatever the hell, they're gonna want to buy the official way, or they don't play emulators because emulation is it's not that complicated. But PC gaming and emulation goes hand in hand. Hardcore gamers emulate games. The people that are casuals or whatever that'll spend money on your game, they'll buy games on their mobile app, on a Play Store, the App Store, or they'll freaking, spend your money on the game officially if you release it on a console that they have or they buy. But taking away emulations, you're not doing anything. All you're doing is pissing people off and making yourself seem exactly like you are, like a money-hungry, grubby, IP-protective little bitch. All you're doing is pissing off fans or whatever. And if it wasn't for your games being what they are and being so damn good, like Zelda, Mario, and all that stuff, and having such strong first-party IPs, gamers would have been turning backs on you and say fuck you, and you'll go to Wade or Dodo Bird, going the Sega route. But that's what's saving you, the fact that you can pull all this bullshit because your games are so good, because you grew up on Nintendo. And that's what makes you survive. But I don't know, I thought when they got the new president after the old one died, I thought things would change, and it did change for a little bit. They stopped being so aggressive, but lately they've just been right back on their bullshit, and they're as bad as they've ever been. And that's why we hate them just as much for it. And you're never gonna kill emulation, Nintendo. The fight against emulation is the same as the fight that the music industry had against Napster and all the illegal downloads. You're not gonna win. The internet's forever, emulation's forever. We're gonna keep coming back stronger than ever. We don't die, we multiply. It's a waste of time. As Attack Motion is back to the fence mode. I'm out. Peace.